You need to consume it to survive. Food plays such a huge role in our lives in general, but how does that relationship change when someone is high? There's a bit more to this topic than you might expect.
Did I get the munchies? Yes, I definitely did get insane munchies.
I like to eat food anytime.
I don't know if I get the munchies. If you ask my mother, she would say that I'd have the munchies since I was born.
This is one of those things that I like to do whether I'm high or I'm not high, and there doesn't really seem to be any difference.
It's always been a good experience eating while being high. I don't get the munchies, though. I don't feel like, oh man, now I'm stoned, I want to eat like 90 things.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that munchies are real.
Absolutely, I get the munchies. No, not always, but yes. Unfortunately, that's true.
Food, man, the munchies, right, high, right, food, right, pot and food, which is weird because it's been both described as an appetite suppressor and as an appetite, exciter.
Like I would get tired before I got hungry, but I remember being in bed going, I'm kind of hungry. Just go to bed, idiot, it's fine.
In college, I bit into an apple, and it was sort of like I was tasting the apple for the first time.
I always get the munchies when I smoke pot. That's another thing I like about it, is that it makes food taste so much better.
I was just thinking, we had that chocolate cake. And now you ask me about munchies. So yes, you do.
One of the reasons I would smoke is because I wouldn't really have an appetite unless I smoked.
If I smoke some pot, then that helps me to have an appetite and I can eat, and then I don't have other medical issues that might come along with not eating, which is not good.
Because I have had bouts with being overweight, I don't get the munchies anymore because it's just something that I have control over and I know how to deal with the munchies. In that sense, I do get the munchies, but I know how to control it.
I know in college I had horrible eating habits, and I think I attribute that a lot to how much weed that I would smoke.
Yeah, I mean, we got the munchies. We were teenagers. We could eat anything. We'd often drive around and end up getting pizza, getting slices of pizza.
I just remember we were so excited for the pizza, and when is it coming? We called like 6 hours ago. And they're still not here. When are they coming? I'm too hungry.
There's been several times where my boyfriend and I cook when we're high, and oh my God, that's a good experience.
I have a friend that will not eat unless he's smoked. So if we're going out to dinner, you better believe we're smoking on the way. Or we'll be at his house, and I'll have dinner ready, and he'll be like, hold on. And he'll run and get his little pipe, and then he'll smoke, and then he can eat dinner.
I have a tendency to eat shittier stuff when I'm high because I'm like, it tastes really good and I don't care right now.
Me and a couple friends have been out like smoking pretty much all night, and at like 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning we bought an apple pie and got some plastic forks and then just ate an entire apple pie in my friend's car.
I'm vegan, so I would get these tofurkey lunch meat slices. Before I was vegan and just vegetarian, I would actually put shredded Parmesan cheese in it and roll it up and then put it in the microwave, and thought it was like the most amazing thing ever, and forced my boyfriend at the time to eat these with me, and he refused, that they were not good. He did not want to eat them, and I would berate him and tell him he was stupid and make him eat them anyways, because he didn't obviously know what he was talking about. Who wouldn't like baked processed meat filled with melted cheese that smells like feet?
Chips, just the low rung of human food, just like, oh, I'll eat that. And I'll eat it at an inappropriate time. I'll eat half a bag of chips at 11:30 at night, which is not good for a 48-year-old person.
I've even had times where I will wake up in the middle of the night and I kind of find myself eating. And it's kind of a conscious thing, but kind of not. I'm kind of half asleep, and I'll wake up at 3 in the morning and be like, oh, I'm just so hungry. And I'll just go and eat like a bowl of cereal. And then I'll wake up the next morning and I'll see an empty bowl and I'm like, did that really happen? Was I sleeping when I did that?
I feel more ramifications from food intake and being high than I do from the thing that got me intoxicated.
As an adult now using medical marijuana, I try not to have too much garbage in the house because of stuff that makes me hungry. If there was a bunch of candy and cookies in the house, I would weigh 300 pounds.
High school me really enjoyed big boxes of fruit by the foot, fruit roll-ups, like really not great for you stuff, but Totino's, pizza rolls, bagel bites. These were like, Hot Pockets. Oh my. And canned like Chef Boyardee, mac and cheese, grilled cheese, peanut butter and jelly, the Smucker's Uncrustables. Those were super delicious.
I'll often, get ideas to make weird combinations of food that I'm sure if I was totally sober would think tasted like butthole. But when you're high, it just tastes good.
I, the other day, ate cream cheese and hummus on corn chip because I thought that it was there, and I thought, well, this is great, you know what I mean? And it was great, you know what I mean? So that stuff, I feel a little more maybe adventurous in eating like combinations of things I wouldn't enjoy.
What is the feeling of munchies? It's just really, I don't know, you feel hungry, kind of out of control.
When I get the munchies, it feels like I've not eaten all day.
There's hunger, there's knowing that whatever it is that's going to satisfy that hunger is probably going to be so damn delicious.
I'm not sure if like the actual food sensation is heightened, but my desire and love for it is definitely heightened. I'm not sure if like my taste buds taste it more, or my nose smells it more, but I'm definitely into it more.
Okay, does it make food taste better? No, at least not to me. Doesn't make anything taste worse.
When I'm cooking when I'm high or just eating good food, I definitely notice more of the details in the smell and the colors and the textures and the taste, of course.
I think that my perception of food does change when I'm smoking. Like, it's just so great. It's just really a magical dining experience because you're starving all of a sudden. You weren't hungry. You smoke a doob and you are very hungry. A physical hungry sensation attacks you and you are forced to eat any potato chips and cookies nearby. And when you do, they are fantastic.
I guess I could say that I taste more of the food, or I taste more elements of the food. A lot of that is just my head coming up with different ways of describing it.
Anything that you can expose yourself to, if it's a cool visual or a cool audio or a cool flavor, I think you're more acutely tuned into what it is you're doing and what's changing in your body. Like if you're putting a flavor on your tongue, all of a sudden there's a new sensation. So I think sweet and salty and all those bold flavors are fun to eat.
I think I also really pick out the flavors more. Like I think about my food more when I'm stoned and I'm eating it.
But I think the experience of munchies has a lot to do with just shoving things into your mouth and eating it. And I think you kind of lose the experience of the food and you're just getting the experience of eating, munching.
I perceive food differently while stoned, mostly because I realize what it took to get to me.
Or how it was presented. I think the presentation, is way more appreciated if you have a hit of pot.
The only thing that might happen is that there's an appreciation, maybe a little bit more when one is high.
Like if I was eating food, it was just that. It was just that I was just absorbed in the experience of like the flavor and like the warmth of like being nourished with like a food.
I wouldn't say senses are heightened exactly, but maybe you're paying more attention to your senses.
Almost like it felt like I tasted it with my whole body.
Eating food feels good, you're hungry, and then again, you're more in the moment.
Munchies is a pretty stereotypical thing that happens when people get high. But clearly, the experience of food with marijuana can be a lot more complicated than just chowing down on any food that's around. Typically, unhealthy stuff like chips and cookies. Maybe writing this when I was hungry wasn't the best idea. Anyway, it's fun to talk about the munchies or experience them, but what I find particularly interesting is how it can stimulate an appetite in certain people who don't feel like eating for one reason or another. This is one of the many very important medical benefits of cannabis. So thank you for listening to this podcast. At the time of this recording, I do still plan on recording new interviews for this podcast, so hopefully that's something that you'll be able to listen to later. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share, and also go get high, preferably legally, eat some food, and see how it's different, if at all. In the next episode, my interviewees will talk about how sex is different when they're high.